they want in fighting this healthcare legislation.
Let me tell you what Ralph Samuels should be proud of. I mean, Ralph Samuels, nice guy, bad policy, right? So he stood with Frank Wielechowski to take away health insurance from 1,000 kids in 2003, right? He took our state children's health program and voted to reduce the eligibility of it, so we had the worst children's health care program in the country until we fixed it this year. You know, right now, this year we moved out of last place, and now we're tied with like 40 other states for like a 10th, right? But you know, we had a good children's health program under Tony Knowles. Frank Murkowski, when he came in, got every single Republican in the legislature to help him roll it back. I mean, you know, if Ralph Samuels wants to talk about his health care record is to take insurance away from people and do nothing to get it for people. So.
Well, I know both of you have worked really hard to try to, with the Denali Kid Care and getting children in this state funded on that. And how is, I mean, you're saying that we're brought back up now to tied for 40th?
Right. That was one of the, I think, the big accomplishments that we had this session. A couple of years ago, Les and I both put in legislation. Les had been working on this a lot longer than since I had been there, but he worked it on the House side, I worked it on the Senate side. And he's right, we were, I think, 49th, if not 50th in the country. We were about to lose all of our federal funding because of this, the way they had structured it. If you fell below 150% of offering to federal poverty level, then we would lose our Denali Kid Care. And so Les discovered this, and we did press releases and we got the information. We actually got it raised to 175% 2 years ago, which put us in 48th place. And then we still kept fighting. And actually, Senator Davis, it's her bill. Yeah. She deserves a lot of credit for this. But it was a team effort. You know, and this year we got up to 200%. So this year we'll have another 1,300 kids, another 200 pregnant women who are eligible for Denali Kid Care.
Yeah, it's Senator Betty Davis, right? So now you can, if you earn up to 200% of the poverty level, if you're a working family and can't afford insurance, we will join the other 40 states that let your children have health insurance. I mean, it's the right thing to do. The feds pay 70% of the cost. It's a no-brainer.
The feds? Oh, those socialist feds. Oh, wait. What do you mean? Our kids can get health care? I mean, to me, it's remarkable to see these policies get played like chess pieces in so many ways. And at the end of the day, they're not pieces. They're not pawns. They're people who are trying to provide for their kids who, if their child gets a cold and they're watching that runny nose and then they hear them in the night and their chest is starting to rattle and they're like, I got $40 left in my bank account until payday's, you know, 10 days away. I don't know what to do. And then the worry, the fret, all of that stress, it's not about the pawns. It's about taking care of people in that sort of situation.
I'll send a $100 donation to Ralph Samuels if he shows me his expression of outrage when Mitt Romney did the same thing he now wants us to sue over, right? $100 check to him right there if he proves to me that he did that.
Ralph. I don't know. That'd be a lot. That probably, he doesn't need your money. He's got Princess Cruises, Holland America, Pebble Partnership, Exxon, BP, Conoco. You know what? He doesn't need any of those kids, and he doesn't need your $100 either.
I doubt he's going to get it.
Yeah, well, we'll be right back with more Up North. All right. Okay, welcome back. If you want to join us and be part of this really fun audience, you're welcome to come down on Thursdays at 5:30 at Bernie's Bungalow Upstairs Lounge, and you know, it's kind of fun. You get to see all kinds of rowdy things on the breaks. So one of the most important bills I think that was going through, I think it's actually one of the most important bills we've seen in a long time, was the response to the Supreme Court decision about corporations having a voice. These campaign contributions that now corporations can basically spend as much money as they want to say, Les Gara is my guy, or Les Gara isn't my guy, or the same about you. And
I don't think they'd use those terms.
No, probably not. But you know, how it stood when that Supreme Court ruling came in, we didn't have the protections that some other states had. So my understanding, especially after talking to you and to Senator French about this, was that, look, corporations have more rights in Alaska than the citizens do, and they still do to a certain extent. Can you talk a little bit about what that was and where we're at on it?
Right. The problem was we have very specific laws in place right now that deal with candidates and that deal with unions and corporations. We ban currently in Alaska law corporations and unions from contributing. Most people don't believe that, but unions actually can't give money to candidates. Their political action committees can, but the actual unions cannot, and neither can corporations. Well, this Supreme Court case threw everything up in the air. The Supreme Court came out and basically overturned 100 years of precedent. Rock solid precedent. Case after case after case was thrown out on a 5-4 decision, and the court said corporations and unions can spend unlimited amounts to influence elections. And so the problem that we had in Alaska was we had no laws on the books now to address unions and corporations. So you had a situation where corporations actually had more free speech than individuals. You had corporations who could literally spend millions and millions of dollars to influence elections and not even have to report it, not even have to tell the public that it was being paid for by a corporation, who they were, where their funds came for. So it was a bad, you're absolutely right, it was a terrible decision. It's probably the worst Supreme Court decision. It was an
Republican
activist
judges.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was probably one of the worst Supreme Court decisions in my lifetime, for sure. I mean, there have been some bad ones.
Well, there was Dred Scott, and then there was this one.
Well, they said in my lifetime.
Right. Right. I mean, really, that we're seeing a real shakedown.
It was a blow to democracy. I mean, you had a situation where you had, the Supreme Court has this bizarre idea that money equals free speech. And if you look back at the founding fathers, they very clearly said, we do not want to be in a situation where you can have corporations spending these vast amounts of money. They recognized the problem that could occur in a democracy when you had that situation, and they were very clear about it. If you go back and read some of the statements that were made years and years ago.
Yeah, I actually have a favorite founding father. Sorry. So when this came about in the state of Alaska, then how that would affect us, you guys had some tightening up to do pretty quick. I mean, it was a kind of a panic initially when this first came out. It was like, what? Okay, we got to do something quick.
Right. Well, Senator Wielechowski, myself, Senator French, Berta Gardner, Scott Kawasaki, Bob Lynn from the Republican side, we all said, we got to do something about this. So we started doing the research, and we found the state of Washington did something pretty interesting, which is we can't stop a bunch of corporations like Exxon from taking out ads that say, we're people for the American way and vote against Bill. Right? So we can't stop them from coming up with a fake group name, which is what they'll do. But we said, you know what you can do is after the fake group name, we can make you read who you really are. So now the ads are going to say under the bill, it was Senator French's bill, we got it passed. Jay Ramis and some of the other sort of extremists in the legislature tried to take out the most important provision of the bill. Really, Jay Ramis tried to do that.
It was interesting, his argument, too. It was like, it was ridiculous. It was like Jay Ramis was worried about the little guy.
Right.
I was like, what?
Anyway,
it's like Sarah Palin saying, we need to really help out the wolves in Alaska. They're having problems. I mean, it was just like, it was so sad to watch him. Well, I was, of course, watching the final episode of Gavel to Gavel and saw the whole exchange.
Right. So with the law now says you can say, we're people from the American way, but then it has to say, biggest contributors are Exxon, ConocoPhillips, and Jimmy Buffett. I don't know. Jimmy Buffett, Warren Buffett. Jimmy Buffett, I don't know. It's going to have to require the names of the people really behind the ad, right? It's truth in advertising. So what Representative Ramis tried to do was strip that out so there would be a little disclaimer that flashes on the TV, but nobody would hear it. And the fight we had with him that we won at the end of the session was, no, it's going to have to be read aloud on TV. So people for the American way, Exxon can call themselves that if they want, but it's going to say Exxon paid for it. It'll be like those pharmaceutical ads, which is, we'll help you become buff and your body parts might fall off. You know? So we put in that your body parts might fall off part into the law.
Right, which is really the part you need, because everybody wants to be buff.
Yeah.
And after 4 hours, you should call a doctor. Kind of disclaimer.
Yep. So it's good.
It was what 23-17, I think, was the vote, if I remember right, to get that amendment back in on the House floor. But what was interesting was that then everybody voted for it, including Jay Ramis. I think it did finally go through the final passage.
Well, he'll do bad. He doesn't want to look bad. So.
Right. Exactly. So, do you think this is going to have very much effect, and who's going to be actually enforcing this?
Oh, I think we had to do this, absolutely, because had we not done this, we have a very close legislature. You have 10 Republicans, 10 Democrats in the Senate, and if you change one seat, then maybe the coalition looks very different, or maybe we don't have a coalition next year. So. And same in the House, actually. The House the numbers are actually very close, 22 and 18. You change a couple seats, Democrats pick up 2 seats, and all of a sudden you have a completely different game in the House. Right. So when you have the legislature so close like that, every race is very hard fought. And you could see a situation where someone who maybe voted against, say, a tax increase on a certain industry, I
don't know who that would be.
Could be the target of a $1 million campaign or millions of dollars.
If a tax actually costs a corporation $800 million, say, just
right.
picking that out of the air, then spending $8 million would be a pretty damn good deal to get that person out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a reality that we have here.
And the scary thing is,